Multiple Rams updates as their master plan for the rest of the offseason has been revealed as to how they can improve post-draft to make them Super Bowl favorites for this upcoming season. Welcome back to another episode of Rams Digest. I am your host, Joshua Finehirsh. Before we get any further, make sure to hit that subscribe button and click the bell so that you get notifications for daily Rams content and you do not miss a single upload, as we got the news coming to you every single day. And just before we get started with today's topic, Josh and I would just love to thank everybody watching, commenting, liking, for all the support lately. We've been smashing it out of the park in every department of engagement. So we want to thank all of you from the bottom of our hearts for the continued support, as it really helps the channel grow as we are now on the road to 4,000 subscribers. So let's make that goal happen. Hit that subscribe button and hit that bell. Now to today's topic of the Rams master plan for the rest of the offseason. Now, as we know, the draft just wrapped up a couple days ago. The Rams had an excellent draft, if I don't say so myself, especially on day 2, getting tight end Terrence Ferguson and defensive end / linebacker Josiah Stewart. And after the draft, kind of comes a second free agency period, as we've seen with teams like the Steelers making a move, signing Robert Woods today, and just stuff like that. The Browns signing Deontay Johnson. A lot of veterans are now starting to find new homes after the draft, and once more teams have more of their roster a little bit more figured out, and now on to who the Rams can sign for the rest of this offseason. Right now, this story is brought to us by The Rams Wire. The 2025 NFL Draft has just passed, and the Rams filled most of their needs at the draft. However, LA has not addressed all of their needs just yet, and there are some key players to add. And we're going to start off on the defensive side of the ball, where the Rams didn't really draft as many players as everyone thought they would. I mean, they got linebacker Chris Paul Jr. later on in the draft, bringing another Chris Paul to LA, the aforementioned Clippers point guard. Now we have the Rams linebacker, Chris Paul Jr., coming to LA, who looks to be a great fit as an outside linebacker. However, that does not mean the Rams are done adding on defense. Look at who we have coming up here first. This one may shock some of you, but we have an edge rusher with Zadarius Smith. The Rams have been a potential suitor for Smith since he was released by the Lions a few months ago. And with the addition of Josiah Stewart, as we just mentioned, in the third round, this should not prevent LA from adding more edge rusher depth. Smith, who would be able to be around veteran leaders as well in the locker room. I think this is an amazing fit for the Rams getting Zadarius Smith, mainly because he's a veteran. Someone who can also take pressure off of Jared Verse, because outside of Jared Verse, the edge rusher department is not that elite. And he will be seeing more double teams this upcoming season because of his stellar rookie season, winning Defensive Rookie of the Year last year. It's going to be so important that he's able to grow and develop throughout year 2 and beyond, because he looks to be a star for this team for years and years to come. He's done a great job. You know, a lot of people pegged Verse as the Aaron Donald replacement, and then Aaron Donald just said, don't be me, be Jared Verse, and that's exactly what he's done so far. And Zadarius Smith, as I said, allows for less double teams and, some more depth, just because outside of Jared Verse, it's not an elite group. As we look right here, Jared Verse, obviously Byron Young has had really, really good seasons in 2023 and 2024 as well. You got Nick Hampton, Brennan Jackson, and then Josiah Stewart outside of those two. And outside of our top 2, not a lot of proven players, not a lot of people who okay, they're going to make an impact if called upon. Because if one of Jared Verse or Byron Young gets injured, we all knock on wood that does not happen to any team. We all do not like injuries. That these 3 guys, Josiah Stewart's got some potential. I like the pick. But the other 2 guys, I don't really see making a key impact for the team, really right now or for the future. So getting Zadarius Smith, you allow Jared Verse and Byron Young to learn from him as well. But more importantly, Josiah Stewart gets a veteran to look after. Zadarius Smith as well does have multiple Pro Bowl appearances, 1 All-Pro season, 3 seasons of double-digit sacks. He is 32, so going to the Rams makes a lot of sense where he won't have to be the primary edge rusher. You have 2 guys who you trust, and then you can bring in Zadarius Smith on blitz packages, third down, special, defensive formations for Chris Shula this upcoming season. And now we move on to our next position is cornerback, the big need for the Rams. And that player is James Bradberry. And this article does note that a Jalen Ramsey reunion is definitely on the table that would be quite expensive with his contract. Bradbury offers a much cheaper option, who is still a solid veteran. He won't push to start in 2025, but gives the Rams a solid backup behind Ahkello Witherspoon, Darius Williams, and Kobe Durant. Yeah, I completely agree with everything that Rams Wire is saying here in this article. Bradbury, he is coming off of a torn Achilles. He tore his Achilles in training camp in 2024, so he was not a part of the Super Bowl run for the Eagles this year at all. However, he has been good for the Eagles, in the past. Obviously, this year, not playing. So it's going to be really interesting to see how he comes back. And he is looking to come back into the NFL. One-time Pro Bowler. He is 31 years old, and that's never good coming off of, a torn Achilles. Ever, really, but especially not in your 30s. And he would pair up really nicely with, I do believe Darius Williams is the best Rams corner. So Darius Williams at CB1, and then you have either Witherspoon or Durant as CB2, and then obviously James Bradbury can slide right in there as a bit of a veteran presence. Because the Rams did not draft corner, which they had a chance to take Will Johnson in the second round. He ended up being the next pick of our rival, the Cardinals. Great pick by the Cardinals, by the way. So we will see how that decision impacts the Rams. And I want you to leave a comment down below right now. Who do you believe the Rams could add as a veteran presence in this kind of second wave of free agency here, where it's a lot more of cheaper players on the defensive side? I would love to know. And also, comment down below what you think about James Bradbury and Za'Darius Smith as options for this Rams team. And, defense isn't really going to be the only thing that the Rams are going to look to add in. And actually, right before we get to the offense, a potential cornerback, this is what they have to really think about, replacing here with Darius Williams and adding to. So Darius Williams did have injury issues last season, only playing 12 games. 1 interception, 1 tackle for loss, 31 solo tackles. He is also 32. Darius Williams is sneakily older. He's a bit shorter at 5'9" as well. Bradbury would be able to come in at 6'1", 210 pounds. He'd be an absolutely amazing fit for this Rams team. And now we got to go over to the offensive side of the ball, where the Rams are a lot more stacked on that side. Obviously, you got Stafford, Puka, Kyren, Devontae Adams, Tyler Higbee back healthy. Now you got Terrence Ferguson into the mix, the running back they drafted in the 4th round. So it's going to be interesting to see where they can add on the offensive side. However, I have that answer for you coming up right now. And here we go with that. Offensive line is where they need to add. The Rams did not draft an offensive lineman in this draft, and here they will add Nicholas Petit-Frere. Is somebody who they can add. He's a bit on the younger side. He's 25 years old, going to be 26 during the 2025 NFL season. The Rams need a backup right tackle, with Rob Havenstein heading into the 2025 season, coming off of multiple shoulder surgeries. Petit-Frere hasn't been great in a short career, but he does already have 28 games of starting experience, which is the thing to look at right there. He's a former 3rd-round pick by the Titans in 2022. The Titans have not been a team that's really been winning a lot lately, no disrespect, but he hasn't been in an environment where the team's winning, and I think winning environments really bring out the best in players, and we do have the numbers to, back that up for Petit-Frere right here. If we look, these are his PFF blocking grades brought to us by the wonderful PFF website. If you look at his pass blocking grade, it's okay. It's, 42, but the run blocking is really where it comes into play at 55.8, which is still below average. And these are really the only stats we have for O-linemen, just because, they don't track, catches, yards, or tackles, interceptions, forced fumbles, stuff like that. And so for this, you want to be closer to that 60 to 80 range, to really be considered a positive offensive lineman. But for Frere, he would be a backup, which would be great for Rob Havenstein, because if we pull up the depth chart of the Rams, it really doesn't have too much going for it right now in terms of the right tackle position. Right here, if you look, the offensive line depth chart, this brought to us by Turf Show Times. In the starting lineup, you have Alaric Jackson, who's been great. Steve Avila moving back to guard. Coleman Shelton going back to center. Kevin Dotson, the right guard. And then starting right tackle, Rob Havenstein. And then you have Warren McClendon, who's an offensive tackle / interior offensive lineman. Not really a main right tackle. He is listed as the backup, though, right now. Then you have Bo Limmer, who's more of an interior lineman. And I'm not necessarily a big Bo Limmer guy, just because he hasn't really been great in the times that he's gotten to start. You have A.J. Akuri, who again, a way better guard, more so on the left side of the line. And then A.T. Lewiston, again, not really someone who's proven, at least with Petit Friere, you would be getting somebody who's able to step in. He's young, he can learn, he'd be around McVay, Havenstein, Coleman Shelton, as well as Eric Jackson, who's been good in the past. The offensive starting lineup-wise, it's quite good. It's a good starting lineup. You have more than enough players, to fit in that starting lineup, but the back half, the depth, is not really there, and Petit Friere would be the guy to do that. And I want you to leave a comment right now. What else can the Rams add on offense? Because in this article, there were some receivers, running backs, where I don't really see a need to add either of those positions. Gerald Everett was even a name that was brought up, which I don't really think they need to add either after, drafting a tight end and having Higbee and Parkinson already on that depth chart as well. And leave a like on this video for the Rams to make some veteran moves in free agency. Part 2, really, after the draft. And that is it for this episode of Rams Digest. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you do not miss any daily Rams content coming at you right here on the Rams Digest channel. I've been your host, Joshua Finehirsh. I hope everyone watching is having a great start to their week, and we will see you tomorrow with another episode of Rams Digest.